Bye. I'm Richard Taco, and this is my old friend Nerkish, and I'm here to interview you.
Oh, okay. That's what we're
Well, we're hang out.
All right. That's what I thought.
So you're allowed to say anything, but in general, my audience are old people, maybe even a little more family-ish than we're used to. My demographics are up in that area. So tell them about who you are. What's the big deal with Nerkish? We've had a bizarre relationship for 3 years where I only know your first name and I don't share that because so you can't make fun of me for being Richard Taco because you know, I don't even know anything about you. You don't even show your face.
Yeah. Well,
I've never seen your face.
I have a real job,
and a real face.
Yeah, and a real family. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I have anything. Well, we meet in Comicsgate because I was like tangentially associated with them, and then
whatever that is.
Yeah.
So for people out there who need to know, I describe to them Comicsgate in as hostile of a fashion as possible.
A bunch of think of like comic book guy from The Simpsons, and then if there was a bunch of those guys, and they wanted money. And there you go.
Combined with Dave Koresh.
Yeah, they made a bunch of mediocre comic books that they said was going to change the industry, but didn't.
Yeah, and then had enough followers to go and attack other creators with like an imbecile parade.
Yeah, there you go. That's pretty much it. But my thing was I just like making fun of cringe. I got tied up in it. And maybe I guess that, it's also, there's a lot of cringe in comics at that time.
Everything is cringe. So if you're making fun of comics, you're just making fun of one more kind of cringe, including me sitting here on YouTube is yet another form of cringe.
Yeah, but I think our interests overlapped for a period where it was, they were like, they really didn't like the, I guess for lack of a better word, SJW stuff. And that, anytime you have something with a strong agenda like that, it's going to be cringe. So, I guess our interests overlapped for a while.
Yeah. There's kind of like legit fighting SJW. Then you go down to the next step and you get down pretty far. You're at like Sebastian Gorka, who's like fightthewoke.com. Then you get down a little farther. Then finally you're down at the very bottom and there's Comicsgate, fight the SJWs. It's like by the time it gets worked down to Dollar General, level, you're kind of, hold on, we got another guy. This is your buddy here, Sven. Here's Sven.
There you go.
Hey there, Doug. Nice to meet you. And Nerkish, what's up?
Hello.
Good to have you here.
Hell yeah, man.
Okay.
I'm excited to talk to you.
I got to interview before I kick you off. You're an animator.
Yeah, I am an animator. I'm an animator, a comics artist, an illustrator, a bunch of stuff.
I love your work. You're fantastic. Nerkish has shown it to me before, and I thought you were great.
Thank you,
so
sir.
Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, you've been a major influence on my work.
Good.
I always say two influences of mine is Doug Taneple and John Kricfalusi.
I love John K. too. Yeah, I think his work's great.
Yes, amazing. Yeah.
So you're doing good work as an indie, and I really think this is the future, not just the future of animation, but probably the best place to be because you don't want to work for some corporation.
I have, and it sucked.
Right.
It sucked. Yeah. I worked for studios, and it was just horrible. It was terrible, and the way it's gotten only worse.
It's even worse now. So for some kid, because that's the thing I get, right, is kids wanting to get into college. And
the dream is dead.
That's right.
The dream is dead.
Guys, whatever you were wanting to accomplish in video games, in animation,
it's over,
in
bro.
Comics, it's done.
Forget about it. Or do it yourself. You got to do that too, but I don't recommend it, honestly, because I've been canceled a bunch of times too, Doug, myself. Because I do streams. They're pretty controversial.
I've seen them.
I would say. You have?
Yeah, they're ranked.
Boy, it's pretty bad.
But the thing I keep seeing is I look at your art and I go, it's something I always thought with John K. It's like, hey, the guy's rank, but the guy can draw. He knows his principles. He knows how to, clearly present ideas and strong compass, strong appeal, strong silhouette,
form construction. I trained hard on that, long and hard. Even I recommend if you want to learn how to draw yourself, go find John K's cartoon curriculum if it's still online. That's one of the great. It's amazing. Yes.
He really is one of because he took the old ways they were doing animation. They kind of filtered it through Hanna-Barbera, which made animation affordable for TV. But they were
same thing for Irwin Jim. I've seen, okay,
Oh,
go ahead,
I studied all that stuff. So
yeah, I've seen your drawings when
the
you were studying Daffy Duck.
the UPA style and stuff like that, where it was simplifying things, trying to make it affordable. Well, then John Kay went back and just said, I also want funny drawings. And he was really the first to do just like chase the funny drawings, not in an unhinged way that Bakshi did, because Bakshi, I don't think, ever had the structure underneath his funny drawings. John Kay kept the structure.
Yes, exactly. And he would pressure people into never drawing the same face twice, famously, which made for an amazing show. And they're trying to bring it back, which they shouldn't, I think, but
I don't think so. I just don't think. I think it was a magic moment, and he went too far. There was a sweet spot where he was doing Ren and Stimpy. It was incredible. It was always designed to burn to the ground. He went too far and burned it to the ground. You'll never get that magic sweet spot again.
What do you think of when they brought it to Adult Swim and he was able to do anything he wanted, whereas previously he had to stay within the lines and he had to be creative?
I thought it was terrible.
Me too.
Which I also have this other theory on geniuses like John Kay, is they actually need someone to fight against to keep them honest.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because look at Steven Spielberg. He had to answer to someone. He made Jaws. He was terrified, and he makes Jaws. George Lucas, he was terrified. He makes American Graffiti and Star Wars. Sometimes these radical, amazing artists, when they're terrified, they put out better work than when they're just given the keys of the kingdom. They can do anything they want.
They need to be wheeled in by somebody a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't make somebody good, or even right, but you can't just carte blanche. They make ruinous stuff.
I don't think Ren and Stimpy butt fucking each other really made Ren and Stimpy a lot better.
Now see, that's on my channel. You can't talk that way.
Wait, butt fucking.
I didn't give. Okay, my channel is primarily 65 and up conservatives. That's the audience you're serving. So, guys,
they were having anal intercourse.
That's much better. You have to
cartoon characters.
You have to forgive Sven. He's an animator.
I'm from the Netherlands. We're very liberal with our speech. We get to swear on TV over here.
He's an artist, so he can't help being evil. I'm a conservative evangelical Christian, hardcore.
Whoopsie.
So I get to, every time I hang out with these guys, everything goes straight to anal sex.
Hey, come on, stop. No.
Anal sex.
All right.
Okay.
I was referencing a kid's cartoon wherein that happened.
Yeah, of
and
course.
I didn't agree with that.
Okay. No, I know, right? I remember that cartoon you're talking about too. It was terrible. He was sawing wood or whatever it was. And like,
they were. It was innuendo, but it was, and then he,
you don't need to do that. So wait, so you're an animator. Tell them about how to make it as an indie. Do you pay rent as an indie, or are you screwed?
I do. No, I do pay rent as an indie. I'm also streaming. I have my website, svenstoffels.com, where people can subscribe a monthly fee and they get access to all of the premium content, stuff like that. I still do freelance. I do all the art for New York's biggest comedy festival called Skankfest. I do a bunch of podcasts. Yeah. I do a bunch of podcasts, Red Bar Radio, shout outs to that. And then I do my own stuff too. I'm working on my graphic novel right now called Butch Gilligan. I can send. Have you seen my little motion comic that I made? Can I send that to you?
You can send it to me. Yeah, I don't know if I've seen it or not.
Oh, I hope you love it. I need to know what you think of it. I'm going to post it here in the chat, I guess. There's a link over there.
Sure. Or Nerkish can send, or you can send it to me in private. Send it to me in private. I'll look at it.
Right. So I do that. What else do I do? Yeah, my streams. I just found out before we got on here that I got banned off of Twitch now too. So I don't know what I'm going to do next week because I already got banned off of YouTube.
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
Yeah. You keep getting banned too. I don't even know where to find you anymore, man. Now you're called Del Taco. What's
Richard Taco right here, baby. We're like the illegal jewel salesman when you go down, in LA and you see all these guys, they open up a suitcase. There's like their rip-off fake Rolex watches, and as soon as the cops show up, they fold up and they just run.
Exactly.
That's what my YouTube channels are now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've seen. I got banned last time because I was analyzing feminist performance art on its artistic merit, and they just happened. They happened to all take their clothes off each and every one of them.
Oh,
So that's not
no.
my I mean, come on, that's not my issue. And it turns out, by the way, the merit wasn't really up to snuff. Wasn't really,
Yeah.
they weren't saying much. Let's just say it that way. I have a theory about that, by the way. Can I tell you my theory about feminist art?
Sure. Well, it's an oxymoron, first of all. Feminist anything.
Yeah. I was talking to Nerkish about this a little bit. It always feels like you're watching a personal therapy session, because I've started to notice that I won't say women, let's just keep it at feminists. They tend to view art not as an act of creation, but as an exorcism of their own inner hysteria. So you're always watching, they're always projecting their inner disgust and turmoil onto an audience or onto a canvas. And then it's up to us to just sit there and let that wash over us. And then I guess we need to analyze whatever the trouble is within their own brains. But yeah, that's what it is. It's not an act of creation. It's an exorcism of their own inner demons. And I don't think art always needs to be. Some people think art needs to be autobiographical always. I don't think. Yeah. I think you can channel things. So you don't have to. Doesn't always have to be an expression of ego. Basically,
art got ruined 100 years ago with the Impressionists. And don't get me wrong, I love the Impressionists. Okay, everybody shut up. I love John Singer Sargent. I love Monet. But they started saying, instead of I'm going to depict truth, goodness, and beauty that is out there, which God made and actually exists, they started saying, there is no truth, goodness, and beauty out there, because all truth is relative to me, to my perception, to how I see. And everything became my vision. This is how I interpret shapes. Me. And so they started telling you about the truth inside of them, and it became a giant therapy session where they just started regurgitating whatever I feel is true. I can put splatters on a canvas, whatever I'm saying. There is a place for that in art, but that's all we do in art, because now that's literally the only truth we believe in, is whatever you vomit from inside and force and spew on other people. That's what's wrong, is we miss the old. And soon the warning of the artist is terrifying, because they said you're going to go from not being able to express beauty to you will not be able to love.
Yes, beautifully said.
Yeah.
And I would like to add to that too, that a lot of the arts that we see right now is basically propaganda instead of art, which in my opinion is the antithesis to art, is propaganda, is ads, wherein they have a preconceived idea, preconceived notion. They have their propagandistic political view that they need to express. And that's when the artistic pursuit starts. Instead of starting the artistic pursuit and within the art, figuring out what you're trying to say. Like art should be a debate within the artist itself, and then the end point is the piece, instead of the other way around, where you already know what you're going to say. Because that's propaganda, and that's what it all is.
And then the debate begins. After the piece is done, they're like,
yes, exactly. And that's what you're seeing constantly now. And of course, the whole art scene is now a cartel. Basically, it's a mafia, at least in the Netherlands here, and you can't get in there if you're not completely aligned 100% with their ideals, with their with their political ideals.
Yeah, so I have friends in the fine art community, big fine art like guys, like big way up there, like above. They're showing Banksy and stuff like that, and DJ Brainwash and stuff. And I'm going, look, I want to do a pop-up show in New York, but it's going to be all radical, like graffiti art, but it's all pro-Trump. Because I just said, what is more radical and divisive and taking and more, uproarious within the fine art community than just hardcore, like near religious devotion to Trump? And he said, I know what you're saying. And what you're saying has incredible integrity. It is hilarious, and I love it. But we could never do that, ever.
But why not? What's the rationale behind not doing something legitimate like that?
That's what I mean. Is because they're so politicized and so woke.
Yeah, but what are they? That's not what they're saying. That wouldn't be their rationale. We're just too political and too what?
Yeah,
that's what
they've
said.
I always prove that they're lying when they say that they're pro-division, pro-radical, pro-new ideas. I'll go, okay, fine. Then by that criteria, fine. We'll do one of I'll do biblical drawings of the scriptures and da da da. They go, no, we won't do that because whatever. We're for censorship now. And I'm going, but if I was Hunter Biden, of course I could do anything I wanted. President's son. It just they expose themselves as complete frauds. Art is dead, utterly dead.
It is dead. It is 100% dead. Honestly,
it's a corpse outside of independence. So what you do independently. I don't know if it is good art. I know that the only chance of something being good art is that would come from an indie doing something kind of radical. You might create something entertaining and unique.
They call me edgelord sometimes, and I'm like, I am an edgelord. I am on the edge. That's where I am. That's fine. You can keep calling me. I have no problem with that. I am an edgelord. And also, I make stuff. Because last year I got canceled because I made a cartoon about Corona, which went mass. Did you see that one?
No, I don't think. What was it? What was it?
I got like.
You'll get whacked.
It went massively viral, millions and millions of views. It lost me my Patreon, and I said fuck you to them because they. Can I say that?
No,
they told. Okay, sorry about that. New conservatives.
Right.
They asked me to remove my content, not just off of their platform, but off of the entire internet. And then I said, "F you, Patreon." And I didn't do that. But so I made a cartoon, and to me, it was tame. It was just 90s gross out humor. It was like a buck-toothed Asian girl that was making out with a bat in slow motion and eating bugs and eating a pangolin and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It was pretty. You can find it on BitChute. Just type in Sven Stoffels. You can find the cartoon, and the Chinese weren't very happy with that, and they.
Oh, you think my channel's going to get destroyed even for having you on
just for reference? No, it's not that. It's not that bad yet. Okay. Anyways, so they send me death threat after death threat. They contacted my previous jobs, my family, and this went on for months and months and weeks and weeks, and it didn't stop. I mean, it did stop now. It stopped after maybe 5 months.
In fairness, it does feel like you showed it to me, and it did looking at it, you prefacing it with everything you said, and then looking at it, it felt like that could have been on MTV in the 90s or something. Or, whatever that liquid television was. Could have been something like that or something.
I mean, it's just. I mean, in fact, I blame Doug for influencing me because it is 90s gross out humor. I mean, I saw the farts and burps and snot on Earthworm Jim, which directly made me do that.
And you're just one harmless artist. You're not out murdering people. You're not out blowing up cars. You're just a guy. You're just drawing.
Yeah, I know. And listen, they're saying, "Oh, but you're it's shocking." It's like, when did that become a bad thing? Why can't it be shocking? It was literally like just Ren and Stimpy gross out. Like she had snot and she had some bugs in her mouth. Gives a shit. This is World War II style propaganda, the gulags and the concentration camps. Like I don't have any power to do that, even if I wanted to.
Yeah. I wish you did, but
that'll get your channel canceled.
That's true. It's true.
He's just kidding.
You can see, I'm terrified of getting my channel canceled again. This would be the 7th one in the last 4 months.
Don't they correlate that to your IP or your phone number or something?
They do, but now I'm finding I'm testing. Let's put it this way: I test ways around that. So that's
you're just using your kid's phone number.
I'm doing experiments. So that's
you have a whole new fake Richard Taco ID.
That's why this experiment on this channel is to not use my real name, and when I float it out there and see how long it lasts and see who shows up in the comments and where it gets reported and stuff like that is what I'm monitoring.
What's the direction? Are you still planning to do election COVID stuff, or are you just going to talk about how the culture is pretty much a cancer?
Well, for this channel, it's the soft launch really is just to be kind of a character who just kind of throws down little, 1 minute, 2 minute comments or opinions on culture. It's just like tiny. It's like,
no more art streams?
No, I want to, but I can't. My equipment isn't set up to draw stream. So I've been doing drawings over there, really good drawings on my art table, but I don't have the equipment to stream it.
I see. Are you working on Earthworm Jim 3, perhaps?
No, I'm doing. This is Earthboy
Bigfoot Bill?
Earthboy Jacobus, my book that I did back in 2005. I'm re-releasing it, so I have to do 16 new pages of art, and then. I've got Bigfoot Bill 3. I'm writing that one. I'll start working on probably late this year. And that's going to be just Harry. And then Earthworm Jim 3 after that.
Cool. What if you just did a character? So like Crowder and Gavin have these like hipster, ironic, like Colbert had his character. What if you just did that and you're arguing your points, but as some sort of satire? What about that?
They're after me. They know who I am. And as soon as they find out I'm associated with it, they'll take it down forever on YouTube. So I'm just saying I am off. This platform is purely just for goofing around and experimenting.
That's all it should be for this platform.
Well, for a while it was for making $150,000 a month.
Damn.
Yeah. Back when it was back in January. So
don't
now,
follow the siren call there, though, Doug. That's how they get you. That's how they get you staying on the platform.
Well, that's how, isn't that? But look that's your job too, Nerkish. You go do a job. That's how they get you. They pay you money every year. Otherwise, you're not going to do it for free. That's how they get you.
I understand that, but I mean, like, I feel like I wouldn't keep going if they kept slapping me in the face.
Yeah, but you'll go and you just go and find another job, and the other job is doing the same thing. It's they pay you to get you to give up your work day to them.
Yeah, but it'd be how much are you going to endure? I was thinking about if they started there's a guy at my work that put the pronouns in his bio, and I thought that was like department policy. And I really got to the point where I was like, if that's department policy, I think we're going to have an issue.
Yeah.
It wasn't. He just chose to do it. But,
well, pretty soon it's going to be to take the is department policy. So
don't talk about that.
I meant take an aspirin.
Yeah.
I don't mean anything else, but take a shot of whiskey. Take a shot of whiskey. Well, there you go, brother. That's vodka, right? What is that?
It is vodka. Iceberg vodka I've been drinking.
Oh, I haven't had that. How is that?
It's pretty good. Pretty smooth.
I'm a Kettle One man myself.
Kettle One? Never heard of it.
Kettle One vodka. It's good. It's got almost a citrusy taste to it a little bit.
Yeah, it's almost 10. Do you know that they bottle vodka here in the Netherlands? That's usually all the vodka that's being shipped to Poland is being bottled here in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And then an investigative journalist went to the brewery or the bottling facility, and they asked, what's the difference between this very expensive bottle of vodka and this very cheap one? And the person had to say, nothing. It's just a bottle. It's all the same.
It's just a bottle.
It's the same shit. It's just water with alcohol. You can't really do much, except in Poland, they need a little bit of glucose in there. But every vodka is the same shit. And can I say shit? At least there were some. Okay, sorry about that. I'll try. This is very tough for me. I'm swearing MFer. Here's the thing: when you're judged, I use swear words because this is not my first language to just give myself a second extra to think and translate stuff in my head. So that's why it's so tough. Anyway,
are you saying Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Head vodka isn't any better than
absolute nonsense?
But it
absolute
comes in a
crap.
Crystal Head bottle.
I have it here. I have the bottle right there, but it's a cool bottle,
You gotta support people with autism, I guess.
It's Dan Aykroyd. He's the YouTube. It's the YouTube fandom of vodka. They're buying it because he slapped his name on it, not because the vodka is
the
legend.
bottle's pretty cool.
I know, but if his name was like Petri Cavron and he made the same vodka, no one would care.
No, they wouldn't. No, but it's funny to see some of these vodka aficionados. Oh my god, this one has a very smooth throat feel, and it's like, dude, it's the same shit.
It's vodka.
Yeah. It's just supposed to get you drunk. That's the whole point.
It's made for Russians to commit a slow suicide across their entire life.
To survive winter, to make it more bearable.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Okay, Nerkish, enough of you, Sven. Get out of here. I'm gonna kick
all right,
you.
I'll see you guys later.
Okay. God bless you, brother. Let's we'll hook up on email.
All right. See you later, guys. Peace.
Let's do a project. All right. I love that guy.
No, that was not, I know he's a big fan of yours. That was not me going, oh, look who I know. I like trying to put people in touch that I think are really talented, and I enjoy hearing people talk who are passionate about.
Yeah. No, I've seen his stuff and he's really good.
So
I like him. I like him, and he's my kind of guy. And I work with animators like that on secret projects I'm on right now all the time. So
there you go.
We will make a show, and it'll work. Okay, so now you, Nerkish, how do I get the link to the show out to the world from StreamYard?
What do you mean? What?
I don't even know. How do I get this show, the show that we're on?
Okay. All right, well, you put it on Twitter?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't had a Twitter.
I don't know.
Ever since that whole, me deleting it thing.
Well, yeah, you're off Twitter now, which is good.
Mike Nelson was correct. Your mood does drastically improve. And if you're the only reason I was on Twitter was to look at crap posting, just like edgy memes. There are alternatives for that are far better than Twitter, because then you don't have all the other cancer that's on Twitter.
Well, Twitter is terrible, but it's the terrible I know. Is that a terrible excuse?
I will say so. Sometimes I'll lurk without a profile. I'll lurk on some of the accounts that I used to follow, and it seems like it's gotten a lot less fun since I've left.
It's probably much worse, Nerkish. Yeah. It's worse than it's ever been, and I've ever seen. In fact, the last couple of months, it's gotten worse.
You could tell they miss Trump a lot on there too. The left and right miss Trump, because it's like they don't have anything to talk about.
How do I get people on with Nerkish on the Richard Taco
Meyer
YouTube?
You should have just taken that.
Come watch and subscribe. And
this is how you, every time you text me, this is what you're doing. You're just vocalizing each word.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that either. Just going to do, here's the YouTube show right here.
Okay.
So we're in here. So now we can talk about crap that you think what audience on Twitter might want to see. How are you? First, how are you? Are you good? Are you surviving?
I'm doing good. Took a while to adjust to the COVID world, working from home. I think it's probably better. I enjoy it. I actually started going back to the office a little bit, but that's a plus side, working from home, spend more time with my family.
What is super dumb about the office that you don't miss? Like, what is super incompetent that you don't got to do? Everything you complained about before that now you don't have to deal with now that you work at home.
Office politics and the inefficiencies that are disguised as like productivity in the office. Like, I get this impression with older bosses that they seem to think that like if you're in the office somehow you're more productive, when the reality is a lot of the time, especially millennials, are just pretending to work. You know what I mean? Like they know how to look like they're working. When you're depressed and you're ready to go home, you just sit in front of that computer and act like you're working, and you're just waiting for the time to run down. You're doing anything but work. You're not working. Yeah. And there is mentally, I will say too. So if you're at your house, you're an office worker, like you're a drone, you know how to get what you need to get done and still be productive, then also do other things that need to be done in the house. And then at the end of the day, you feel pretty good with yourself because you're like, I did my work. I was productive. I got
hold on. Are you guys hearing an echo? Is there an echo?
Maybe it's my.
Oh, it was on your end, he says. Tommy. It was on my end, he says.
Oh, okay.
You guys, if there's an audio problem, because I'm not using my headphones, so I just didn't know if we've been echoing this whole time, and these guys.
I haven't heard anything, but I'm only listening to you through this.
Okay, so you're working at home now, and we're getting closer with the family.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, no, that's always great. That's the one thing. And another thing in my own neighborhood, I noticed. So we moved to the suburbs, and we're on a cul-de-sac, and it's like Leave It to Beaver for the kids. Like there's 10 houses on this cul-de-sac. All the kids are always, there's like a little, it's like the Sandlot. There's like a little clique of kids that are always hanging out. My daughter's out there. The kids are always hanging out. And I was talking to the neighbors, and they're like, we didn't even talk to each other until COVID. Yeah. Like it's us having to come out of our house and being a little stir crazy. Then we started talking to the neighbors, and now it's like everybody's always outside. You got eyes on the street.
We started doing neighbor block parties and all that. Look, so Praetorians here. I think that's Praetorian. Praetorian, if that's you, thank you so much for the cigars. I didn't get to thank you because you're off Twitter, just like Nerkish here. But he sent me a bunch of cigars. I had another one, some little shorty one. It was fantastic. So and I thought of you. So thank you, Praetorian. Good guy. Okay, so that's work. But now what about faith? What about where are we at with Jesus? How close are we to before in 2018, and we were talking about Jesus, right? It was abstract. He was out there. And now you're sitting in the urinal canal of Cthulhu. We're living in it now. Does it change your idea of an ultimate good God and Jesus sacrificing for you now that you're in just the devil's toilet?
So as somebody
2021,
as somebody who's raised, with nothing, like I wasn't raised with anything against religion. I was raised, like, my parents weren't that great, so I was raised with the absence of everything. So it's tough to sell on Jesus, but definitely God I'm coming more and more close to, because it's like, I think I've told you before in conversations, like, it's tough to look around and feel like there's not some sort of not agenda, but there's something at play that's messed up, and that there is objective sources of truth, even if you don't want to admit it, because it's like the offense that I think everybody feels deep down when they look at the culture. It's tough to go, it has to be related to something, because if it's not, I don't know how to put it. It's like what I was saying yesterday, where it's like everybody's offended by everything, but what they should be offended by. Like every day it's something new, and it's like somebody telling you up is down, and it just feels backwards, and you feel gross inside.
Yeah.
And
so before I tried making the case for Jesus of, there's amazing good and there's, all this good. Now I'd have to say, if I was going to say, does the world seem atheistic, or is the evil that you see man-made and purely material, so that a perfectly rational empirical explanation for it explains everything? People are just a-holes. Does that cover it? Or does it not start to look like there is a supernatural evil behind the scenes, just screwing things into the ground, even worse, in bizarre, you know what I mean? Like trans Muppet babies. I'm just going like, why do you have to do trans drag queen stuff for children? It's like, well, if there's evil, if it's just a man just screwing around, you go like, well, men wouldn't really be that driven. But if there was a devil, yeah, they'd be that driven. They just now announced that they're selling baby organs. Okay. That our nightmare is true. They're actually selling medical baby organs born alive. I'm going like, is that merely like, oh, man are just kind of bad? Or is it not like saying, no, man aren't even that evil? It's supernatural evil.
Yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Does my audio sound good? I just realized.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, hold on. I think maybe okay, no, yeah, I do. I thought maybe it's coming from my webcam. Well, no, it's ghoulish. That's something, and it's weird when you talk about some of that stuff to like normies. Like there's an interview I was watching with Sandra Bullock when she's talking about that she's on Ellen talking about that foreskin facial she gets, like made with baby foreskins. And she's like reluctantly joking about it and going, well, they're not American babies. And I'm like, this is like a ghoulish nightmare that I feel like I'm living in, and then I've, saw the things about like those articles speculating, what about transfusing young blood into old people?
Yeah.
What about that? And it's just like, are we living in a nightmare? Is this hell? Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but something feels off, even for somebody who wasn't born with religion. Something feels like gross and I guess evil.
Yeah, I'm only saying, not merely human beings screwing around, natural selecting some guy out for maximum efficiency of getting my DNA in the next generation, but truly screw it in the ground, bizarre cruelty evil. That's what I mean by it starts to look like almost an artistic expression of a devil, and not mere ice cold efficiency of even like, when an insect just like devours something, it's like a robot, it's like mechanical. This form of evil is like flamboyant. It is self-expressive. It's showing off. It's artistic.
Yeah. And it does seem to be tearing down things that are specific. I feel like even if you were to take
it's relishing it, Nerkish.
If you were to take
it's relishing it.
Like a snapshot of what it is now and show it to somebody 10 years ago, they wouldn't believe it. Hell, I feel like you could take a snapshot now and then like some of this, it's tough when you're talking to like a normal person who maybe doesn't see some of this stuff, and then they feel like you're being crazy, and it's like, this isn't Alex Jones level stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's, it's not like super far out there or anything, like, or they act like you just have a tinfoil hat on or something. And it's like, no, this is stuff that's happening.
I have a foil hat on, but I didn't put it on me. They put it on me.
Yeah.
They made me go crazy. It's them. You
But
know?
but even with the COVID stuff, and I won't get like too into it, but like, I think it's funny how one thing, prior to the Wuhan lab thing,
Yeah.
prior to Jon Stewart saying it, I guess you could get your account banned. You could be like censored off social media.
Yeah.
But I guess now that like somebody that's relatively popular made a joke about it because it's just based on common sense.
Yeah. That's what I mean
It's
by
A-okay.
they're doing it to make you crazy. They're completely countering their narrative to make you doubt. It's 1984. It's double speak. It's like take two opposite points of view of the source of the virus, right? And they'll force both of them down your throat with the same amount of, of punishment, stick and carrot, because they're trying to disconnect you from reality.
Well, I think it's also a good counterpunch. So if you argue against one, they could sock you with the other. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
That's
I don't
why
know.
they had Black Lives Matter riots and no one was wearing a mask. They're like going,
Yeah.
Of course you can go out and you don't have to wear a mask. And we're like, well, wait a minute. Then you do a pro-life rally, whatever. You're not allowed to wear, they want to break up a Trump rally, whatever, because they're not wearing masks. You're just going like, oh, you're doing this to make people disconnect from reality. I thought for a second you cared about masks and science and Black Lives Matter and Trump and stuff. They don't care about any of that. This is about abusing you into submission.
Do you think that that's intentional, or do you think that that'll have some sort of like consequences? Like, obviously a rational person at some point, would start to doubt the media if it's constantly gaslighting and lying to them, even on basic things. Do you think that's going to blow back, or do you think their whole intention is just to make you question every piece of information you have like in front of you to where none of it matters?
I don't think so. We don't know the future and they don't know the future and the devil doesn't know the future. So any plan that someone tries to roll off with what they're trying to do, I don't think they would have the confidence to know that they'd be able to pull off whatever that plan is. So if you say, are we going to revolt back and say, hey, we're being gaslit en masse? I don't know. Because I only see how effective they are at undermining truth. We live in a post-truth world,
Well, so here's another question. So like when I talk to my friend, and I say that there's like an agenda, like something just as simple as there's an agenda, he assumes I'm speaking about like cloak and dagger, like everybody involved in everything meeting up and they're okay, Don Lemon, now here's the plan, you're gonna do this. And it's like it's pretty easy to understand how a few powerful people can have biases, and that trickles down, particularly if you get in like an environment where everybody agrees with you. You're not gonna have any voice of dissent. So it's like, do you think there is a specific agenda, or it's just like a confluence of interest, or it's literally just the devil? Like,
I always go down these forms of corruption, right? It's one of three forms. Number one is it is planned by a purely earthly network cabal with purely earthly explanations. So
like all of it, like an elaborate plan, or just like kind of
it could be elaborate.
Interest.
So I'm saying, which one does the evidence demonstrate? And these tend to be the conspiracy theorists and the QAnon people and the far right people that believe like the Jews are behind everything, and like the Illuminati and George Soros and who else? All the cabal of the normal. It's Mitch McConnell taking money from China, right? Everything. It's too easy. So that's one form, and I don't tend to believe that because I don't see hard evidence. I never see the email that points between Venezuela and a voting machine, let's say, or the best thing that I go, give me your proof. Give me proof. They go, yeah, okay. At Bush's funeral, they gave a white envelope to Mike Pence. I go, sorry, that's not enough. Okay. That's not proof. That is just, so I'm only saying one form is purely terrestrial. I think they're wrong about everything because it is impossible to pull off a conspiracy with that many people.
Yeah, that's what I think, and that's usually what I think normal people think. They're like, well, somewhere along there's going to be a chink in the armor. Because
Right.
even if that was the case, I think things like going like, well, COVID's planned, and it's like
Right.
then why wouldn't they just say the FDA had approved it? You know what? Like, why not
That's
just
exactly right.
if you're going to lie, why not just full blown lie and be like,
Nerkish, you're my man, because you flushed out a counter example where the easy kill, it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they do it? It would be easier if the same people that say, Mitch McConnell is bought and sold by China and therefore did it. I go, then why did he give us 2 conservative Supreme Court justices or 3? Because he would have fought them. It's confirmation bias after a while. So that's number 1, purely earthly. The second one, which is the one I tend to believe, is the evil at the top is supernatural. There is a devil. He is real. He is brilliant, like more brilliant than most people. And so he would explain why the conspiracy that's operating below him here on earth would not necessarily be organized by earthly factions, right? It wouldn't reveal, you wouldn't have to see letters going out to people or organization, because the devil's doing the organizing. So suddenly you don't
like
have
through
to
human
have
temptation or specific manipulation.
Yeah, human temptation. It could go as far as demon possession. I don't know what it is. I'm very skeptical of everything, but I'm just saying. I'm saying which one explains the facts that we see on the ground. I'm going, does there appear to be a conspiracy yet no evidence of the normal whistleblowers and the normal,
Well,
like if it took 500 people to set charges on 9/11, right? You don't think one person wouldn't rat everybody out for a $2 million book deal?
Yeah. Unless the people
if you were going
that they were reporting to were so powerful that
if you're a bunch of poor black people and you're manipulating vote machines in 5 different states, you couldn't find one poor black person to rat the whole system out for a $2 million book deal? Bull crap. Okay. So it doesn't make sense that the conspiracy would be merely mortal. I think there has to be a supernatural element to it. To work across 5 states with no evidence, etc.
I would want to know also, like, why going back to the temptation thing though, like why when humans cave into their desires, it usually devolves into something gross and degenerate. You know what I mean? Like if a lot of this stuff, so I guess I could lend credence to like a supernatural thing, because it is weird how like people in power have, it's not just like, oh, I like women, loose women, give me some prostitutes. It always seems to devolve into like the worst excesses that like, demonic, evil, gross Jeffrey Epstein type stuff, so yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So I'm only saying, so explanation number 2 would explain why there wouldn't be hard evidence or hard organization up top. So, explanation 1 that believes there's only earthly traits will say, well, they're so effective, they're so dark, and they're so powerful, the Rothschilds and Halliburton and everything, that they can perfectly bury their tracks and never leave evidence or make everyone commit suicide, whoever they want to disappear. So I'm only saying I don't believe that, right? So number 2 would explain why there'd be no evidence without having them be the most powerful, brilliant structure in the whole world. That's why number 2 is technically more realistic, even though it just admits an evil supernatural entity organizing everything at the top.
Well, I think also the number 1, like you're saying, all the moving parts, feasibly, American intelligence gets all this stuff, but so much, I mean, they're kind of dum-dums. You know what I mean? Like so much stuff falls through the cracks. They could have prevented certain things. And this and that. Like there's a lot of like, just they're humans, so they make human errors. So it's like, I don't know if
I'm not seeing the genius.
Yeah.
I'm all right. Okay. So number 2 would work. Even though there's no geniuses, you could have one brilliant some kind of dark entity at the top. Now, explanation number 3 is the most recent theory of mine, which is that evil and corruption and compromise has completely worked throughout culture in all of us, so that by default, we do what an evil thing would need automatically. Okay. It's my general corruption theory. So that would explain how you could have cheating in hundreds of counties in multiple states without having it organized, because the cheating, it's spontaneously developed within the individual. So not a top being talking down and corrupting them.
Because like we're corrupt, like we're broken.
Yeah, we're already corrupt. So, hey, I'm an adjudicator in an election. I already know just by default, I'm going to cheat.
But then what would that, how would that explain there seems to be a clear path we're going down? You know what I mean? Like there's a direction. It's not just this chaotic, desperate thing of us all having inclinations to want to cheat and stuff. Like if that was the case, wouldn't we be cheating against each other sometimes, and there wouldn't be a clear agenda, right?
Well, I think we're cheating too.
Oh, you mean the right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? Just in the sense that like most of the modern right seems to just be the left 10 years ago? Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. Is there's no principle of tell the truth even if your side wins.
Yeah.
And you can just test it simply in a debate. You can just say, look, here's and I can't even describe it on this. I'll have to describe it off the air. But, you know, Stacey Abrams almost certainly won her seat in Georgia, but had it stolen by Kemp, a Republican.
And you have evident, like, I mean, she lost by what, like 50,000 votes, right? What was that?
It was a tiny, thin margin. It might have been less than that. But I'm only saying there were 5 vote machines that calculated votes. And there was one of those 5 flipped all the results to a point that she lost. Okay. So I'm only saying you have all these vote machines that went a certain way for her. One of them, in a very anomalous, bizarre way that did not match any of the county's previous votings, flipped against her, and it was enough to make up for her victory to give her a defeat. One machine.
In this world, though, where it's just, you know, we're all just almost pre-programmed to do things like that. Like, would it even be like, what would be the benefit of being truthful then for them? You know, like if the right were, because let's say the right did go, look, listen, Stacey Abrams won that and blah, 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 blah. And we were wrong there. You know, that I don't think the left would take that with grace. I think they would just use it to stab the right a bunch in the throat.
Oh, yeah.
So what instead, it's almost like how now cancel culture has created an environment where even if you are in the wrong, there's no point in apologizing, just double down or ignore it. Even if you did something that you,
they don't want to. An apology's purpose is for me to remove the poison I put in you. Okay. I hurt you. You have poison in you. I go in with as best I can. I go in and say, I'm sorry. I have to remove this poison from you. Will you forgive me? And you say, yes, I forgive you, because you want to remove the poison too. It's like you want to remove your resentment. In the left, that's not how it works. You apologize to them. They don't want you to be relieved of having hurt them, and they don't want to relieve their hatred of you and resentment for you damaging them. So that's why it's a waste of time asking for forgiveness to a leftist.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I mean, like the scenario now, it's like, you know, what was there even to do? You know, if it's on both sides. So you would say that's like a demonic force exploiting.
Well, in the third one, whether if it's demonic or just human, it's humans are so corrupt that it's almost, you know, it's interchangeable. You can just let them go and they will pull off and conduct a conspiracy on their own without any leadership.
So then that sounds like an atheistic one, right? Because then it'd be that we're tribal beings and there's all these various things.
To me, it's a more believable atheistic one than the first one.
Yeah.
That spontaneous corruption makes more sense than completely top-down organized corruption.
Well, I think too, the thing is like, even on the right a little bit, I think a lot of people have it seems like a misunderstanding of human nature, particularly on the left, but I see a little bit on the right where it's like they seem to think that like we're not just like broken, messed up creatures that are, like the left seems to think they could breed out hatred or racism or teach it out or something. And it's like, no, that's never going to happen. I don't know what you're doing.
That's Rousseau's Noble Savage, where he believed that deep down inside the savage or the native was basically good and was corrupted by capitalism and society, versus the tragic view of history, which classic literature taught us through George Washington, the founders said. They believe we were largely fallen, which is a biblical idea, is that you're born bad.
Yeah.
And therefore you need to limit government because of it, because a government of the people, by the people, will still have fallen people in it. So you have to limit government's power because we're born bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You see it all the time. It's one of the things that concerns me about raising kids in this environment, but
So are you happy in the new malaise that America's over? We're post-democracy. We're post-freedom. We're probably going to do another lockdown here. Are you just able to continue to fight for your family and for the good on your own in your house? Because that's probably all you're going to get.
I try like a little bit. Yeah, I take that. I try not to like obsess over mundane things as much. I don't really keep up with politics as much as I used to, but it's like there is a part of me where I just almost feel like if somebody were to say, we regressed a little bit and we don't have as much luxury as we used to, I think that might be better. You know what I mean? If my kids grow up with less luxury than we did, or, I think they maybe find a little more truth in that.
Sure. Well, in the end, I mean, how much has your life and my life changed? Like, I'm surrounded by the same walls. I'm still.
Oh, because of COVID?
Yeah. I'm still a husband, father. I'm still raised kids.
No, but I'm saying just like my example about us working from home has almost like, and I imagine it's true in our other areas, but like, it's brought back the notion of community a bit. Like I never really knew my neighbors the way I do now. I used to.
Me neither. Me neither.
So, stuff like that, if that came back, I'm fine. So maybe there is a little bit of silver lining to some of this. Who knows?
Yeah, and it might cost me like I won't get the so maybe I'm not allowed to fly anymore. But I got to know my neighbors, which isn't it better?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Sometimes, not that. Yeah, I'm not in support of like vaccine passports or anything, but I'm just saying
we're not going to bring up any of that.
But I'm just saying, like,
it's obvious what you and I already think of that subject.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if they were like, "Oh, you can't fly," I don't know if I'd be shedding a lot of tears over that. You know, it's like, yeah, that's bad, but also, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's fine.
They're going to take away all of our privileges, but I'm saying there are privileges that they can take away where it's okay, including my job. I mean, Comicsgate tried to do that, including your job, my self-expression, stuff like that. They can't take away the stuff that's really important to me, my family. They haven't yet, anyways. Family, house, health, my kids' happiness, my church, when I sit here and draw in my studio, I get to do whatever I want. So in general, they haven't, fine. I can't pitch to Netflix and get a show on Netflix anymore.
But would you want to? I mean, like, would you want to be surrounded by a bunch of garbage and filth? I mean,
well, I would be surrounded by garbage and filth, but it'd be nice to make something that made a ton of money so I wouldn't have to put up with them anymore.
That's something I notice as I get older, and it sounds pretentious, and I don't mean it to, because I like stupid stuff. I like the occasional video game, and I listen to like audio, but like it's not like I'm sitting there reading philosophy all the time. But there is like a generalized disgust I'm having as I'm getting middle age, where the amount of distractions and stupid stuff and trivial nonsense that we occupy ourselves with, especially in like later adulthood. Like I look at my in-laws sometimes, or even like my neighbors, and they're nice, but like watching grown men like have a serious discussion about like Captain America, or something like that. I'm like, what are you going to bestow to your children? Like you need to like teach them some sort of truth or like provide values to them. And you're just arguing whether if Steve Rogers is going to come back in some form, you know what I mean? Or like what comfort is this going to provide you on your deathbed that you watched The Walking Dead like 3 times?
When I grew up, I go like, I like good times and I like what's happening.
Yeah.
and I like Sanford and Son, but it's not like my religion. The way 55-year-olds talk about Simpsons right now, it's like their religion. You know what I mean? They're like quoting it chapter and verse and like, remember, and this, like, this is important. I'm just going, maybe it's just a pop garbage cartoon. Maybe it's just fun.
Yeah, I don't know if I would completely dismiss everything because that is a little unrealistic. But
I'm saying if I quoted you chapter and verse, Archie Bunker, I'm going, maybe it's just a sitcom. Maybe Simpsons is just a disposable sitcom.
Well, that's like the recent thing with He-Man, like that He-Man
oh
thing
my
is
God.
like that He-Man thing is like a onion of disgust I have, where it's like everything about it I hate. I hate the Kevin Smith thing. I hate the people getting upset about it.
I hate more than the audience.
Yeah, I hate everything about it. I'm like, this Kevin Smith thing's stupid. The fact that he turned it woke, stupid. The fact that they want to take it seriously, stupid. The fact that it was just a cartoon made to sell toys is stupid. Like, it's this whole layer of like, I don't think anything's at the core of that.
It's stupidception.
Yeah.
It's like the dumbest. And to see grown men throw a tantrum and even dance on its grave, go, yeah, no one's watching episode 2. I'm like, you're done. You complaining about He-Man are why the world is done.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of people playing in a pile of crap and then being like, no, this is my pile of crap. Yeah. This is my, it's like, I don't know what you're arguing about at this point. Like, just don't watch it, Just don't like.
It's all the comics drama, which we've seen for years. I'm just like, oh, really? Did you make a book? Did you write one? Did you draw one? Because that's all there is. And that's all I care about when it comes to comic discussions. And everyone's like, no, I didn't. I'm delivering, I'm not, They're not even reading these comments they're arguing about. Comics, they maybe read comics from within this community 15 minutes a week. And the rest is 8 hours a day sitting on streams talking about making comics on the internet, which is not reading a comic or making them.
Well, with the entertainment stuff, like I'm a huge Mystery Science Theater fan, but like I was thinking about it, it's almost like building muscle or something. So like, I just feel like there's a window where that stuff could be relevant and important to you. And it's usually in your youth, it's fine to enjoy, like, because Mystery Science Theater shaped my sense of humor. And so that's fine. But when you're past a certain age, it gets silly. And it's like, I can't put into words the level of disgust that I feel towards things like that. And like I said, it's not like I'm better than you or I'm just listening to classical music all the time, but it's just something about like
you grew up.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like, especially people with kids. I'm like, what are you doing? Like you have children, like I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. There was my neighbors were talking about, I guess they just rewatched all the Marvel movies and they're ranting about how great it was. And one wasn't that the Iron Man 3 wasn't that good. And they're talking about how much they loved it, but then they're just like misquoting things too. Like they're going, oh, that twist in the third one when the Mandalorian wasn't Ben Kingsley. That was great. I'm like, you're saying you love something and you can't even get the words in this thing that you love. You know what I mean? I'm like, it's just, and it's all just like weird propaganda, commercial, like, it's just all garbage. And I don't see how people don't see it.
So we're members of a tribe, and tribalism is what rules today, even more so than the truth. How do you know that you're not gaslighting yourself or smoking the gaslight of your entire tribal culture? 2021, you will do, think, and say this. How do you know?
What do you mean? Like, how do I know that like my beliefs currently are true?
Yeah.
I don't. That's something I have to check all the time, especially with when you go when your opinions are counter to what the mainstream is, and then that takes you into like the dark recesses of where you would get counter opinions. You constantly have to sift that with a grain of salt because you get crazy opinions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's another danger. How
different would you be from, a crusader in the year, 1200 AD or whatever, a crusader? How different would you be from his belief in culture and Christianity and the throne as he went off and slaughtered Muslims? how different would you be from that
And would I
Christian
be as
man?
fanatical as a crusader in my beliefs?
Well,
No,
I'm saying compare yourself today to that guy, because you're not a believer.
well, no, I'm
So,
not. Well, I think that's the other thing that's like pretty pernicious is
yeah,
even if you start to if you're raised in this society and then you start to question it, you start to
yeah,
it ingrains a doubt in you. Even when you start to question it, that
yeah.
you're always on like a rock or a uneven footing.
So
You know what I
listen to
mean?
me.
So,
I'm a believer.
and you're gonna go
And
kill a
what's the
bunch of
difference
Muslims.
between me and that crusader who goes and, slaughters Muslims uh, for a living? You and I, our lives are nearly identical compared to that guy.
Yeah,
Because I know who the Simpsons are, and in general, I've watched Rick and Morty.
yeah.
I've watched, porn. I've watched. I've eaten a bunch of McDonald's. That guy's never known McDonald's. That guy doesn't. That guy probably lived in a place where the father just arranges marriages. There's no asking someone to marry or love.
That guy has higher level of testosterone than either of us ever had.
Well, that he would see both of us as
Yeah.
completely effeminate trans drag queens.
Yeah.
He would see us both as just the most effeminate person, that he could probably have his nose broken just for fun, and he wouldn't even shed a tear. So I'm only saying, I look at that and I go, as a product of my times, you and I are a product of our times. How can we know that what we find is true, find out anything is true, when compared to that crusader guy, he looked at his times and said, look, you always, wave a feather over your meat pie because it's probably possessed. They had their own cultural norms. It's the equivalent to you and I knowing Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
How can we have confidence that what we believe, even about Jesus, is true when it's so different from that guy, the crusader?
Well, I mean, are his beliefs and I don't know as much obviously about religion than you are. Are his beliefs in Jesus drastically different than yours? Or because I would
No,
say
they
an
wouldn't
appeal
be.
to
In fact, the things that any of us three would have the most in common would be what he thinks of Jesus and what I think of Jesus.
yeah. So I would say an appeal to tradition would be the thing. You look to your past, and your ancestors, not the culture around you, right?
Yeah.
That's how you. So what's the through line? What makes sense to you? Because I think that's the thing I noticed too. The more I look back and listen and read certain things, that there are certain truths that seem to echo, through tradition and things like that. Then I'm like, this makes sense to me.
Well, the truth doesn't tend to change. The truth, in fact, it won't change. If it's at all true, it will be true 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, and will be true 2,000 years from now. So that's why I keep saying, like, is it right to, own a person because of their skin color? No, it's not. Then it probably wasn't 2,000 years ago, and it probably won't be 2,000 years from now. Is it right for two men to get married? No. So it probably wasn't 2,000 years ago, and it probably won't be 2,000 years from now. And even though everyone calls you hateful and says, how dare you, and you shouldn't work on the Rick and Morty show anymore because of your belief system, it doesn't make it right. So instead, I want to know because progressivism is just like fashion. It's like they just came up with this stuff last week. It's like next week they're going to be like, you're allowed to marry a dolphin. And if you go against marrying a dolphin, we're going to capture all your tweets where you once made fun of it. And we're going to fire you today for being dolphin marriageophobic.
Well, that's the one thing. And I'm not going to come down on gay marriage one way or the other. But I'm just saying, when I talk to people who, I don't think they're strongly persecuted anymore. I mean, that's pretty clear. And I think they've won the culture war. So, I mean, those two things are pretty clear. But I still meet people who think that because there are some people in like middle America or something that aren't like 100% okay with it, that means they're being like persecuted. And it's like, no one's ever going to be okay with everything. And the way that they're no longer being persecuted on that scale and that it's been accepted is if I went into work the next day and said I didn't approve of it, I could be fired. You know what I mean? Like, but if somebody did that vice versa, they could not be. So it's like the tables are.
Well, by the way, the
there.
level of persecution of them was always a lie. They were never that persecuted. I mean, there's making fun of them, but nothing compared to what they did to the opposition.
Well, it's I noticed. I was talking to somebody about this the other days, and I noticed it with like just contemporary people I talk to, like people my age. It's like if you speak to them about something, all of their references are loosely based on like an amalgamation of like TV shows they've watched.
Yeah.
So if you talk about,
so they even, but that's part of the abuse is they tell lies about you and or about me and what my intent must be and what my motivation must be. And you know what I mean? They just run the whole gamut. And they're going to take away my job and lost tons of friends because of the lies they've told.
But like you saying you're evangelical to a millennial or even somebody, you know, around that, they would just go, okay, I've never really met an evangelical. And then in my head, I'm just going, boop, boop, boop. Okay, every single archetype of a evangelical I've seen in the media, and then that's it. So you're now the dad from American Beauty that's secretly gay and killed his son because he's repressed and angry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's a lot of people do that.
That is the greatest fictional character ever made, by the way. What I used to remember that when Chris Cooper's like kisses Kevin Spacey, I'm going, no one ever did this.
Or Kevin Spacey probably wrote that into the movie.
He's like, collecting Nazi plates, and then in the middle of the rain, he goes up to Kevin Spacey and he's curious about why he would be gay, so he's gonna kiss him. I'm like, that never happened, guys.
Well, no, that's I've seen movies where that's happened, so therefore
only in American Beauty in the imagination of some guy who thinks.
Or they'll use that, so they'll juxtapose it with like it'll be all these archetypes on TV and movies, and they'll be like the most extreme versions that you see on Jerry Springer, and then that's how people start to create a archetype in their head of what somebody is.
Yeah,
and it's silly.
Yeah. Well, look here. Here's someone in the chat. Mike Hunt says, "Doug's not that even." Oh no, dude, I'm more evangelical than anyone you know. I've actually, and by that I mean I evangelize. I actually have shared Jesus and evangelized almost everyone I know. So I'm literally more evangelical than most people you know, because I've evangelized more.
Which is zero. Most people have never really met any. You know, I mean,
all the Christians in the chat that call me a fake Christian, like Doug's a grifter, he's a fake Christian. They've never shared the gospel. They're okay with everyone going to hell. By the one definition that we've been told by the Bible is to call people to repent and follow Jesus. I've shared with almost everyone you and I know, and everyone who I know, I'm more evangelical than they are.
Well,
okay. What he means is he doesn't drink whiskey, as if that's an identifier of Christ. Which is why the church is also just so screwed up. Is the Nerkish? I used to, when we last talked, I thought the church might be a holdout, and now I know even it's gone so woke. It is so gone.
Well, no, that was the thing. So like, I'm curious about stuff, but there's a period where I was just looking, and it's like everywhere you go, it's like I just gave up. I'm like, because I was like, maybe I'll stop in one day and just like see what's going on. And it's like everyone, you could tell it's shaped by the culture. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go somewhere that's I get enough of the culture everywhere. I don't want to go somewhere that's just like echoing a version of that.
Yeah. So we go to this super reformed Presbyterian church, crazy Calvinist land, and I love them. Love the church, but it's like the only one we could find in all of Tennessee. The other ones were going so woke and LGBTQ and in Black Lives Matter. It was shocking. And this is in conservative Trump land.
Well, you guys have some weird crap over there, right?
Yeah.
I've seen some weird stories about Tennessee going
well,
weird.
I mean, conservatives, we are weird. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like this is the promised land where everyone pictures like a Sean Hannity barbecue in everyone's backyard or something. It's not that.
I don't know if that exists anymore.
No, it's like that. It's gone. It's dead. The biblical illiteracy within the church is shocking. The amount of Christians that do not read the Bible and do not know the Bible or misquote the Bible is shocking to me.
Well, I think that's also like everything in culture now seems to be designed to keep you like fat and stupid and lazy. Like, I went to the beach for our vacation, and this isn't like a humble brag or anything, but you know, like I could tell like my some of my in-laws are a little like heavier, and they were like they started talking to me about like I was gonna work out and blah blah, because I guess, you know, I'm not really fat or anything, so like they're talking to me about like, oh, I was gonna work out and I was doing this and blah, but it's just so hard to do it when you have a job. And it's like, I think people are just trained to find excuses for things. It's like, if it was important to you, you would just watch less TV and then make a set amount of time to work out. Like, nothing's impossible. You're acting like, you know what I mean? And I think
we want our entitlements. We want, I don't want to live my life without this.
Okay.
It's so easy. And I don't want to live my life without knowing the entire Marvel movie universe. I don't want to live my life without all of the easy. I just want to eat my empty calorie ho-ho in the other room, you know, have a ho-ho. I don't want to, the idea of me doing without something is a horror.
We're trained for
that's the entitlement.
Like the path of least resistance. And, you know, being lazy is always that way. I was going to ask you about, you have an iPhone?
Yeah.
Did you see that thing about their weird database? Yeah. What do you think about that?
I mean, because they're looking for pictures of child, you know, problems.
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't have as much of a problem with it.
Do you think that could lead to other things, though?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, but I already assumed they're just totally scouring all of our phones for whatever opinion they want to justify and find. And the tech oligarch will throw us all in jail or turn us all into ground meat and eat us all.
Do you also, do you think that means they have a database of that stuff to have the algorithm scan? Like, do they themselves have a database of awful, vile crap to?
I don't think they even need a database. I think they have instant access to anything they want. So they could literally do a scan of you and I, and just by doing a little poll thing, they could turn you into whatever they want. For instance, they could say, scan this guy's Nerkish's profile for any racist, anything he's ever done, said, or thought.
And then when you have that, that's what scares me. And then when you have that power, how easy is it to do what you want with it? Because let's say there's somebody that's becoming a bit of a, you know, troublemaker, and then be like, say he has child porn on his phone. You know what I mean? Like, how easy would it be to just say that there's something there?
Almost everyone who has watched porn has child porn on their phone because of all the barely legal teen banners that come up. They can get anyone they want almost at any time.
Yeah, that stuff's it's also weird what I mentioned this to you before, but it's weird what a opposite reality we're living in from, you know, I guess like our counterparts on the left or whatever. Because I talk to them and their fear is always like, go global warming. I'm scared of it from my kids, global warming. And I'm just like, and then they're like, what are you scared of? And I'll say, you know, I'm just like the erosion of like freedoms based on the illusion of safety and things like that. And, you know, like the fact that all our information is being fed through a very small, you know, conglomeration of corporations and stuff like that. And they're just like, well, what do you mean? Like, why is that scary? And I'm like, I don't know. Why do you think that would be scary? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I'm like, all you would have to do is just imagine the people that are pulling those levers are not on your side, and then tell me why that's scary. You know what I mean? Imagine that if the conservative right had those levers, would you find issue with it? Yeah.
Well, and by the way, I think the conservative left, I mean, not the conservative right left, but the liberal left barely has their hands on that lever, because I'm only saying you've seen what big tech media has been able to do to the right.
Yeah.
When they part ways with the left, you know what I mean? Why couldn't they do the same thing to them? Are you telling me that Facebook and Twitter and YouTube are going, when they face the power of the big tech oligarchy, that the big tech oligarchy will take their hat off and bow to the power of the Democrats and say, yes, we had a conflict and we'll do it your way, Democrats? No, big tech oligarchy is going to go, we broke up with the right before, you know, when they thought that, you know, they were pro-business or whatever. And now we're breaking up with the left. And guess what? You're going to be human hamburger also. What are they going to do? Like, what are you going to do?
Would you have an issue with all of this if it was wielded in your favor? if it was like censorship was all for like, you know, more morality or something like that, like, would you be okay?
If it was tied to objective moral truth, I would feel better.
But what if it was
So,
just
so
as
that
empty,
definition of
like,
that is not if it agrees with me, you know?
but what if it was just as empty as like woke capitalism, like the way woke capitalism is just, you know, they would just throw these people under the bus as soon as they can if they want it, you know, if it benefited them. What if it was just like that, like they professed Christian values or whatever, but it's just clearly just as empty as when they're professing LGBT.
Yeah. I mean, to me, almost all of our values are kind of fake. So when you see what the left has been doing since the 60s, it's not legit. It's kind of a cosplay version, the best they could do of left values. And the right wing, it's not actual Christianity. It's kind of Jerry Falwell's best at, you know, the moral majority. It's kind of the best we could do with what we have.
What I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I was gonna say the cosplay thing. I do notice that on the right too. There is like a cosplay of like traditionalism where it's like they don't really they like the moral superiority of spitting on, you know, degenerates, but they themselves are also just as degenerate.
Similar that I could make money being outrage.com, being Trump, you know, Trump is the best.com. There's that temptation on my side because I know that if I just told a bunch of lies, I could make a ton of money off Trump supporters.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's definitely, everybody can be sold pre-digested version of their own beliefs and values by their side. And they'll buy it all day because now you don't just want any t-shirt. You want the Biden lost, haha, or woke people are dumb, or Sonichu is great t-shirt. You know what I mean? Our values are part of our branding now.
How much do you need your kids to, I mean, mirror your own beliefs? Like, let's say your kid comes back from college. Are you going to weather that, you know, and is a little more lefty? Would you weather that or something? Or would you just, I feel like sometimes you have to weather that stuff if you want a chance of them like coming back to you. I feel like the more.
I don't believe to do it to have them come back to you. I believe that the love is an absolute, that you do it no matter what. So they may never come back to you, but you still love them.
Well, no, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I think if you buck back or have some sort of like outrage, in some cases, I feel like that's kind of what they're looking for, because finding an identity.
I'll never agree with them. I'll never agree with them.
But how you do it should be a little more tactful than you would, you know?
Yeah. And I need to work on that tact because these are people you love or I love. And so where I disagree with them, you know, if I with someone on Twitter, it's just the hammer, you know, I just give them the hammer. That's how dad raised me, is he just gave you the hammer. It's like, listen, what's wrong with you? Are you an imbecile? Shut up, knock it off. That's how you talk. Well, today's kids, you got to coddle the hell out of them just to have a normal conversation with them. So a friend of mine just told me last night something I should try to get through to one of my daughters. He goes, try it's called a truth sandwich, where you want, you know, the truth's in the middle of the meat and you put the bread on top is kind of a, oh, I totally understand why you would think, you know, what, banning straws is the most important thing in the world. However, and then you go and you give them the actual truth, which is, it would be great if we could, you know, just all get together and actually go and clean up garbage in the woods and beautify the place. And then the final one, you know, piece of the sandwich is kind of, so it's kind of adding a layer of participation, trophy, and bullshitting on the top and bottom of the truth so that you can actually finally just tell the truth. But, you know, the bottom line is I just want to tell the truth. Well, what about the bread?
What I noticed with my generation too is like a lot of them just want credit for ideas. So like instead of actually trying to like help the planet, it's good to go like, we should do this, and that's enough of credit. And I noticed that even in artistic expression, people are like that. They're like, I want to work on video games, and what they really mean is like, I want to come up with ideas for video games, and then that's Yeah, you know, they
I've
don't
worked
wanna,
on video games. You don't want to work on
yeah,
video
like you don't want to do the programming or like all the mundane drawing or whatever it is that's in that. You don't want to
deal
do.
with
You just
human
want to,
resources. You don't want to deal with
yeah, you just want to be a
negative
guy.
reviews because it won't load on 5% of the machines because they have their own conflicting graphics card. You don't want to work in video games, kid. You want the idea of having thought up of a really neat idea.
Yeah, or you want to be like a game tester that might have some like insight, you know, like a guy who tests the games and it's like, what if we made him a demon? You know, and then they're like, yeah, good idea. And then that's like pretty much all they want. But yeah,
I do not want to make games. How's that? With authority, I can say that. I love creating, but given what it takes to make a game. That's why I ended up just doing comics in my studio here. It's so much funner to work alone and tell a great story by myself. Oh, dude, how does it get any better than that?
Do you think there's anything to that though? Like that, I mean, like as trivial and dumb as it is, like what you and Sasha and Sven do, it's like it's not like you're creating high art, but you know, do you think there's anything to that or it's necessary? I mean, like I do think there's like a beauty in it, and there is a spark in people who have a talent like that, you know, a talent / skill like that. That's interesting to see.
Yeah. It's not important, but it's good.
Yeah.
And so I still want to do something important, but you know, you aim for Moby Dick and sometimes all that comes out is Rat Fist, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you aim for Bach and maybe all you're going to pull off is Wu-Tang Clan.
Well,
but you know,
we're not, I think that sometimes too, like you look back at what they did in like, you know, the Renaissance or anything like that. And then you realize that even those people that are amazing, they were only a small percentage. You know, there was a lot of like ho-hum idiots and morons and, you know, people just getting by. So it's, you know, sometimes I think the right can take that whole like tradcon, live through your ancestors, we're all destined for greatness stuff a little too. That's like their version of cosplay. Like my ancestors were Vikings and we're gonna, you know, we're gonna do the great things. And then they show like the beauty of Western art or something. It's like, we're not all capable of that.
But if you wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I think I'm going to make animated Pinocchio, you'll aim higher and do better than if you say, I think I just want to make Cool World.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so I like the idea of myself aiming for, you know, something truly amazing and just giant and out there because it makes me want to stand up and try. Whereas if I just normally get up, because you see me screw around with art too all the time. And I'm just like, oh, I know I'm going to do, you know, some Sonichu comics just for fun. It'd be great.
But is that how things evolve, I guess, over generations? Like, you know, you think some guy woke up and is like, I'm going to be like Michelangelo. So he does something, but it doesn't quite reach that apex. And the next guy's like, I'm going to be like Raphael. And then it just keeps devolving towards like Picasso being like, I'm going to do just a bunch of dumb crap. And then the next guy is going,
Well, those guys were they were trying to discover and say, I'm going to break art was their philosophy and explore. They were like scientists, but I just think, I don't know how to be great. I know that the guys who made great stuff in the past were doing something that I think we all agree is pretty true and pretty good. So it seems like that's worth trying for. Good thing to try for. And when I look around and see all the crap being made, that everything pretty much made in the last 20 years is on the ash heap of history, is complete hot garbage and worthless. If I hear one more grown man talk about blah, blah, Transformers movie, blah, blah, you should just get on the ice flow, you Inuit, just cut it off and just float off into the ocean.
Yeah, it is weird how
because you're all done.
There's a through line with almost all forms of entertainment. You know, it's not like it just attacks like illustrative art and then it's like movies, comedy, writing. It's all just, you know, kind of mediocre garbage now.
Yeah.
Well, what are you gonna do?
So what's the next, to wrap up, what's the next step to get you here? If you believe in Jesus, whether if you believe in Jesus or not, my guppy just had babies, whether if you believe in Jesus or not, what is the next step to get you to Jesus. Is it possible that you are forever cut out of God's kingdom and just not part of his plan, just designed to reject him forever, and nothing I say or even nothing you do can bring you to Jesus, to open your closed up ears by the Holy Spirit?
No, I mean, that's not impossible. I think, you know, I get in my own way sometimes with doubt, but the more I look at it, there are certain instances in my life where I'm like, that is bizarre. You know, if there are things as signs, I feel like that would be one. Having kids has opened my eyes a lot.
Yeah.
Getting older, even just introspection, looking at like the people that I admire without putting it through the context of religion, like some of the smartest people I know.
Yeah.
If you start to look at it, you go, they tend to be religious. Like there's a lot of I don't know, like pseudo intellectual or like pop intellectualism.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson
Yeah,
and
yeah.
John Lennox and those guys.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just me taking the leap and actually like delving into things and, you know, like putting in the work.
Do you have a sense that you have unrepented sin, like sins that you have not asked forgiveness for, that you're still paying the price for, an eternal price for, and that Jesus could pay for it? Does that economy seem like it's within your, do you feel that in your heart somewhere, that economy is true? Because when you say, there's no Jesus, I go, then really, but there's probably a God, you're saying. So you're saying there is a creator of everything, but not a sin economy that would demand a human God die for my sins. Do you feel the guilt?
I mean, I feel the guilt of not living up to my own potential and things like that. I don't know about the transference of sins and things of that nature because I haven't worked out what I think the nature of God would be. You know what I mean? Like I still find it, the idea that God would have to logistically put himself in the flesh of man to balance the talent.
Yeah.
That's still something that I have to like make sense of in my head. That
but
like God would have to do.
The adequacy of that sacrifice is a domino, 5 dominoes down. The first domino is, do you have a problem standing before God, being born under Adam's curse, and you yourself having sinned and you've separated from God? Because that would be the first, that's the pre-Christ state. As I go, do you sense that that's the pre-Christ state? Or if you just go, I don't really feel sin, don't really think I've disappointed God if he's there, don't really see the big deal in my sin. Is that what you feel? Because I don't know what that feels like, because it's been so long since I've been pre-Christian.
There's a fear in a sense that like you would open yourself up to vulnerabilities, and then also you would lose an aspect of yourself. You know, like I wouldn't want to, if that did happen, become overly, squeaky clean or something. You know what I mean? Like I feel like part of my personality is ingrained in me is like a cynic and like a bit of an instigator. And
look at me.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't want to lose that.
I'm 50 years in, and look at me.
But Clavin talks about that. He talks about like how when he converted, he was afraid that he'd become a bad writer or something because he wouldn't write reality anymore. He would just write these like squeaky clean Hallmark movies. And I'm not saying like I'm, like brilliant or, a great entertainer or anything, but I just wouldn't want to lose. I wouldn't want to be that guy that gets offended by everything or takes things too seriously or, there's just a danger there that I'd be afraid of. But
I will say that whatever you choose to be is no different than today, because today you have a certain number of facts that you believe and you act accordingly. And then you become a Christian and you have a certain number of facts that you believe and you act accordingly. What are you going to do if God says, I demand that you write badly and stop cussing? You're going to go, well, according to the facts that I know now, I'm going to start writing badly and stop cussing. You know what I mean? You start to go, that's called counting the cost. Jesus says you can't count the cost. So it's like me saying, well, I want to be a Christian, but I still want to be popular with all of my, atheist friends. It's like, well, that ain't going to happen.
Well, no, it's
not. To live under a different set of reality.
It's not that. Like, it's not like I want to be popular with people because I don't like them, but it's more like I feel like certain aspects of the world I see are true, And that's what's led me here. And then if I start to, because I feel like, religious people could have blinders up too, just like anyone, or,
Absolutely.
tunnel vision. And it's like, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want to become so consumed on what I think Jesus wants that I don't see things clearly, or even miss like if he does exist, like what he would want. And
Unless you thought he was
so
really telling the truth. He says, you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. What if what he actually wants is actually true?
Yeah, but there should be an internal dialogue about, I imagine with anybody, like, am I hearing a clear thing, or am I feeling a clear thing, or is this just my own interpretation of like my own desires? Or my own inadequacies, like I have sinned, so therefore I'm going to be like really militant about whatever, like cheating on your wife or this or that, whatever the sin is. I'm going to become really militant.
Grace covers everything, Nerkish. Just do whatever. Cheat on your wife all you want. It's probably an illusion.
You know what I mean?
It's probably just marital fidelity. It's probably just a suggestion.
Monkeys don't get married.
Yeah.
So,
and do unto others. I mean, you wouldn't mind if she cheated on you. Big deal.
We always
she's just an ape,
Yeah. We appeal to what animals did. That's why I always love hearing there's gay animals argument, because I mean, it's not like animals also kill their young or have sex with them. So it's fun to cherry pick what animals do and then say that it's fine.
I saw that video of the monkey who has sex with a frog, and I'm just like, people go like, hey, 10% of the animal kingdom are gay. And I'm like, yeah, and I just tell them, are you going to screw a frog now? Is that the new? It's kind of a low standard when you're appealing to gross animals to defend what your argument. This is my definition of marriage.
Yep. But I think it might be that time, though. I do have to pick up my
let's wrap it up. Well, we can do this again. I'm pretty sure this channel will get destroyed sheerly because of this episode, but it's worth it.
Well, I just want to, I miss the old days when we BS. So it's fine. If that's all this channel is a vehicle for us BSing.
Yeah. I might take it down and post it over on Locals, break it up and put it on Locals, because I don't know.
You can do whatever you want. I get the impression sometimes you think when I want to talk, I'm trying to use it for like to boost my channel. So I just
I never thought that.
It's also it's cathartic for me to talk to somebody who at least is open-minded to my point of views, because I have that.
I like checking in on you, hearing from you. We'll do this again. We should do this every week. We should do a podcast too. What's your channel for people who are interested in finding you?
God, I think it's still just Nerkish, right?
Just Nerkish on YouTube.
Yeah. This is, I don't even know what my channel is anymore. It's just me making fun of a cheesy, inspirational. It's not the old super raunchy stuff. It's just there's this series of like Darman videos. Are you familiar with him? He's this guy who makes like, sometimes they're race baiting videos where it's like white Karen steals PS5 from black child, and I just make fun. Like I mystery science theater. That's pretty much it. So, but it's not anything raunchy. I'm not making fun of anything too bad.
Yeah, you're not making fun of handicapped people anymore like you did for 2 years straight. Okay.
No, not 2 years straight. It's like a year maybe.
All right, guys, that was Nerkish. We're gonna go off the air. I'll talk to you off the air. All right, see you guys. God bless you guys. This has been Richard Taco and Nerkish.
Well, see, there you go.